I decided to analyze how individuals with a learning disability, specifically dyslexia, are treated within the school system. I'm also further analyzing how individuals that are capable of other intelligences, besides solely linguistic and logical mathematical, are treated in a school setting. The film that I will be describing this lens through is Bollywood's Taare Zameen Par, which translates to Stars on Earth. The film is about an 8-year-old boy named Ishan. He struggles with reading and writing and he lacks certain motor skills such as trying to tie his shoes or throwing a ball in a straight line. Because of this, he is ridiculed by his peers, teachers, and mostly his father when he fails. He was labeled as simply being an underachiever and lazy for his lack of effort, and although he struggled in these topics, he had an expansive imagination and was gifted in art. Exasperated, his father packs him off and sends him to boarding school as punishment. Already struggling with his studies, Ishan now has to deal with the pangs of separation. He fails to show any improvement in this new setting, and it isn't until Nikam's arrival as a new substitute art teacher that he makes the diagnosis of Ishan as being a dyslexic individual. He recognizes this through factors such as his inconsistent spelling errors, confusing letters such as B and D or P and Q, and his confusion between homonyms. He also notices that he is actually above average in intelligence and that his paintings were magnificent. Nigam attempts to explain to Ishan's parents that the reason for his poor grades were due to his dyslexia and not his laziness. The lack of support often shown by parents places more of the blame on the child and causes the child to feel a sense of isolation since they now have no social support. This in turn causes the child to get buried deeper into their own hole as they now have to foster poor social communication. It isn't until Nikam compares reading as a dyslexic to reading a foreign language does he understand Ishan's troubles. Although dyslexics may lack in reading and writing skills, in certain cases they may be blessed in one of the other intelligences. The 8 intelligences defined by Dr. Howard Gardner are linguistic, logical mathematical, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, musical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalist intelligence. If a dyslexic individual is blessed within one of the other 8 intelligences defined by Dr. Howard Gardner, they are thus categorized as a dyslexic savant. Ishan happens to fall into the category of a dyslexic savant, and Nikam empathizes with Ishan since he also struggled with dyslexia as a child and also happens to be an artist. Nikam comforts him by revealing that even idols such as Albert Einstein and Leonardo da Vinci were dyslexic. Nikam is able to spend a few extra hours each week with Ishan through the utilization of remedial techniques developed by specialists in dyslexia. These techniques consisted of working on his linguistic intelligence by secretly encouraging him to work on his true talent of art. In a small montage, clips are shown of Nikam having Ishan draw the alphabet in sand, guessing letters that are drawn on his arm, making letters with clay, and much more. Although Ishan goes on to do well in his final exams and win first prize in the art festival, this wouldn't have happened without the help of Nikam. This is where the limitations of the teacher come in a traditional classroom and where the use of such remedial techniques become crucial. In our schools, teachers are mostly fond of students with linguistic and logical mathematical intelligence and fail to bestow equal attention on students whose intelligence comes from one of the other intelligences. Unfortunately, students with these gifts are often left behind and labeled as learning disabled, ADD, or simply underachievers, as was initially the case with Ishan. In remedial training in children with dyslexia, it is important to facilitate the development of their unique abilities to its full capacity rather than to overemphasize on the correction of their linguistic abilities. Oftentimes, through development of one of the other intelligences, linguistic intelligence will come naturally or learning can be done with a combination of intelligences. The troubles with the school system, especially in India, is that it is a system which is rote-oriented and stifles original thinking. Earlier in the film, Ishan explains the meaning of a poem in an abstract fashion using pure ideas, but his teacher gets enraged, thinking that Ishan is talking nonsense. This is dangerous since teaching should not force students to conform to the existing pattern of the world. Instead, students should be equipped with necessary skills to think outside the box and define their own goals instead of fitting their ideas with the prevailing ones. Currently, the school system fails to recognize each child as a unique individual and is centered on advancing children with the same basic linguistic and logical mathematical skills. The multiple intelligences theory suggests that teachers be trained to present their lessons in a wide variety of ways using music, cooperative learning, art activities, multimedia, and much more. It is also not necessary to teach the class using all 8 intelligences, and instead the teacher may cater to what the class is most interested in or responds most positively to. Taare Zameen Par offers a timely criticism of the school system that shuns abstract thinking and fails to focus on skills other than math and literacy. This isn't necessarily a film just about dyslexia, but it can also be applied to students who struggle within the school system. It is also a story of how children are slowly becoming assembly line products instead of individuals who are catered and built with their own unique strengths.